You know, I don't know what's going to happen next year. You know, it's not like I have 2020 vision. My eyesight is really bad. Stay safe out there, everyone. Let's make the best we can out of next year. Well, a bloody lot of good that did. "2020 was a very strange phenomenon in that we entered it with so much hope, and then left it barely even feeling anything, having actually made it through. It was the start of a new year, a new decade. People were using it as a fresh start. I myself, as well as many others, used it as an opportunity to have a stronger starting point, something solid that we could feel. I felt like I finally had something that I could physically grasp onto. I had created a goal. I had already done my existential floating in the void of anxiety last year, when I quit my job. It's fine. We were ready to move forward and grow and be better, and frankly, I think it's very rude of reality to come in and remind us that the universe doesn't care what plans we made, and whatever it sees fit, it will serve us a vicious curveball that will break your nose and give you a concussion. It's very natural to feel as if this year as a whole was a failure and a write-off, and that it was impossible to accomplish anything. I mean, especially with the social pressure. I saw a lot of things on social media that said things like if you didn't come out of isolation, having learnt a new skill or a new language or something similar, then you were just lazy and unmotivated. And it's not a lack of time, it's just a lack of commitment. Which I hate, because it specifically ignores that people all over the world were basically going through a collective trauma. Everyone has a different set of limits, so condemning people through blanket standards is just really unfair and unhealthy. And I'm not going to talk about austerity and capitalism and how various governments handled the situation, because I'm just going to get angry. And also, I'm just a person. I'm not trained for this sort of thing or to comment on it, and honestly, I'm hesitant to think that any sane person would be excited to combat this whole mess. We've got a pandemic on our hands, boys. Oh, I've been waiting years. I've been reading up, Oh, what I wouldn't give for a pandemic. It's time to prove myself. Alright, Jason, sit back down. Why did we hire Jason? Regardless of any of that, it doesn't change the fact that each of us were affected in some way. I know it's been awful, and I am so sorry. I'm sorry if you were a student and had your routine suddenly thrown out the window, if you had your exams that you had been working so hard for just straight up cancelled and a whole new slew of pressures put on you. I'm sorry if you were laid off. Whether you'd been employed for a couple of months or for several years, I'm sorry if the panic and new regulations worked you to the bone and put you in danger for other people's convenience. I'm sorry if you took a risk and branched out this year only to have the biggest challenge slam you down, if you were forcibly kept in the same place and felt like you were trapped in a situation that you couldn't control. I'm sorry if you lost someone close to you. I'm so sorry. In many ways, a lot of us didn't have control over what was happening, and it's okay to grieve that. Something that I've been trying to solidify in my mind for the last few years is that you can do everything right. You can plan for any feasible eventuality. You can work your arse off and run yourself ragged and do everything you can and still lose. You can do everything right and still fail. You can try your absolute best and still have it not work out, and that is okay. And I know that it hurts so much, but it will happen, and that does not make you a failure. I wanted so badly to support myself with my art this year. I had applied for enough conventions spotted out throughout the year that I know that I would have made it through without struggling. I had planned products and networking and store launches and sales. I was going to see friends and make new ones and start building again. I was going to spend time with the people that I loved most, but things don't always work out that way. And even if you have seen, something coming on the horizon, you can't predict exactly how it's going to affect you. I was only able to table at 2 conventions in the end, both in February, right before the UK went into national lockdown. Those conventions went really well, and I was able to support myself for, a good amount of time. And it's such a shame because those 2 conventions, I thought were going to set the precedent for the rest of the year. I was like, oh, this is a fantastic start, let's keep it going. Whoops! The beginning of the year was very bright, and even as things started to turn, I still had hope. Looking back, I'm a little bit embarrassed about how little I knew about the situation and how much false information I took in, just because I was absorbing them from the wrong places. But also, I don't blame myself for that. As the situation continued, and I learned more about it, I desperately tried to stay positive that my main source of income would be back in the winter. I couldn't go to the gym anymore, so instead I started working out at home. It wasn't as good. My thin, textured yoga mat couldn't really give me the support for my heavy body for my proper workouts on my hardwood floors. They're not hardwood, they're fake wood, but they're hard. And said workouts ended up giving me bruises on my palms, elbows and knees in the pattern of the mat because it was so thin. But hey, better than nothing! Not being able to go to conventions also pushed me to open up my Etsy store and take a lot of commissions. But yeah, I was fine. I was pretty okay up until May. I even managed to get a few YouTube videos out. That was nice. But throughout this time, everything had been taking its toll, and as the situation really started to turn, as more of my conventions were rightfully cancelled and postponed until next year, as I realised I wouldn't be able to see my partner at all this year, that I wouldn't even be able to go and see my parents or my brother, as every commission started filling me with dread, and every news notification on my phone or email in my inbox drained the energy right out of me, as the outcries for justice and education and support and change rang through the air. Once again, I was left floating in that same dark void that I had been in last year. Well, there were high points as well, obviously. We kind of latched onto birthdays in my household. My housemates having birthdays in April, June, and July. I got back into baking and cake decorating. I made everyone a birthday cake. It was lovely. My latest housemate's cake is cooling as we speak. A Victoria sponge. But still, I was still so tired. In the end, I took a long break away from art, and I started medication. Since then, things started looking up. I had started changing my routine before I decided to go on medication, so if anything, my meds just helped the routine stick. I washed my face more regularly, I went out for walks, and I refused to work on weekends. Refused! Weekends are for me! I worked properly on getting that, work-life balance right. Sadly, working out was put on a big pause, and I really let go of my control a bit, and I wasn't walking to work basically every other day. So, frankly, with everything going on, I'm fine with that, out of all the things that could have happened. And it's been a slow process, but I feel like I'm getting back to where I was. And there's no shame in taking a step backwards as long as you're able to move forwards again. Oh, we also got a kitten in November. He's a Bengal, named Milo Thatch, after the Atlantis film, because he's a little explorer, and he loves belly rubs and attention, and eating his food too fast, and chasing anything that moves. The moment of truth is looking at the list of goals that I had for this year. I always knew that I wouldn't get every single thing on the list done. I made the list with that in mind, so I won't beat myself up over it, and I'm being extra forgiving because of the whole, Open an online store. I did do that, and it did pretty well. I managed to reach 70 sales in 8 months, and I got to chat with some wonderful people, and honestly, reading through some of the reviews after people received their orders really made me happy. I have had to take down a lot of my fan art from there for my own safety reasons, but they're still available, so if you like my fan art, get in contact with me and we'll try and sort something out. It's still for sale, just not on Etsy. Upload at least 6 YouTube videos. Hang on, let me check. Okay. Alright, if I don't count the year review, that happened on the 1st, and if I get this one out on time... Oh, that makes 7. Ha! Ha! Hurrah! Wow. What an accomplishment. Upload at least 1 animatic. I uploaded 2 animatics, and I'm halfway through another one that I've got planned for next year. Ooh, and that one's a full length. Success! Table at another convention alone, which means I'm not sharing the table with another artist. I technically did do this one, but also not really. A table freed up during the Cardiff convention, so me and the friend that I had been tabling with decided to split up. So he took the free table, and I took the one that we originally booked, and then we were both able to spread out a bit, so I'm calling that one a win. Print an art book. No. And honestly, looking back on what I was planning originally, I'm glad that I didn't. Now I have a new plan for my first art book, but I also know that it's going to take a lot of planning and a lot of hard work, so I'm not going to rush it. I'm not planning to get it out this year, maybe not even next year, but I'm going to work on it. I might not even do it in the end. Maybe my art style will change by the time I get what I originally wanted done. I don't know the future. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. Go to the theatre and museums more. I tried so hard and got so far, and in the end it doesn't even matter. I was going to, I made plans, I had tickets and everything. Be more active with art social media. I mean, I'm getting there. It was really nice because I reached 600 followers on Instagram and hosted a Draw This in Your Style challenge that people, it was a thing that happened, and that was really lovely. I really appreciated that. Wow. Huh. That kind of puts the year into perspective. It's so important to really reflect, especially if you've had a tough year, on, where you can actually find some joy. I had a lot of things that I had wanted to do, but since I set very basic, reachable goals, I was able to get through a lot of what was on my list. It shows that everything's a process. I'm not exactly going to tell myself that I'm going to buy a house by the end of the year, and then hate myself come December for not being able to do it. But regardless, even though I didn't do everything on my list, I did so many other things that I didn't even think that I would do. I made clay pins, hand-braided bracelets, earrings, organised my supplies, I started a large painting, I dyed my hair pink, reorganised my shelves, got back into baking, did some heavy-duty gardening. I mean, just because you don't get monetary gain from some of your actions, and just because maybe you didn't plan originally to do those things, or they're not as big and life-changing as, buying a house or something, that doesn't make them any less meaningful. And you can't allow yourself to say things like you're a failure because you weren't able to accomplish everything that you wanted to in a set period of time. You make the best that you can with the materials that you're given. And everything is a process, it's a journey. Your productivity does not dictate your worth. Look back at what you did over the past year, and really go over it with a fine-toothed comb. Find the victories where you can and celebrate them. You're worth that. You deserve to be celebrated. So, what's the plan now? My best advice would be to do the best you can, to continue to do the best that you can, and to be kind to yourself as you do it. We never know for sure what's going to happen in the future. Even if we have a rough idea, we can never guess exactly how it's going to go down. All we can do is our best, and, put out whatever positive energy that we can. It's going to be difficult, and it might even be horrible at times, but we have to keep trying to move forward. I hope that you're able to leave this year behind with hope that the next one will be better. And I hope that if you're hurting or struggling, that you're able to take things at your own pace. There's no shame in that. We'll make it through. You're brilliant, and I honestly believe that. And I think that that's something I want to take into the year to come. Happy New Year. And don't worry, you're going to be amazing.